Hi everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm Lynn with Plasma Energy Solution, and this is January 31st, 2021. Today I want to share with you some information that I found that was put out about the memory of water, and it was a video that was done with input from Russian, Japanese, Chinese, Kazakhstan, boy, I took care of that one, didn't I? And other scientists. And it's really important that you understand this because it'll help you with the understanding about what our plasma energy solution combinations are all about. And I'm going to do this as a special report, and you're going to be able to find it on plasmaenergysolution.com. And there's a place on the right hand side of the home page that says free reports. You'll be able to click onto that. If you've been to our website before, you should just be able to access it. If you've never been there, it will ask for your email address. And I do not share those email addresses outside of what we do with Plasma Energy Solution. So let me get into this. We offer Plasma Energy Solutions offers various combinations of plasma energy water that you end up drinking. And we are using the balancing qualities of herbs, vitamins, minerals, metals, roots, unusual plants, might be hard to find, supplements, foods, and these are all in a nano state. And let me explain what a nano state is. These are some copper plates that Dr. Paul did several years ago, along with the copper wire. And I try not to hold things except right by the very edges. But this copper plate in the front, when it is completely blackened, has about 50,000 layers, 50,000 nanocoat layers of the carbon on top of it. Now, these also were enhanced by sitting outdoors for a couple years and just letting the outdoors add to that. So the nano layers that we talk about are not visible things to the eye, okay? So I just want you to be clear about that. And if you look around on the videos on our video channels, there's one channel under Lynn Schmaltz, another under Schmaltz Patricia Lynn, and there you might find it also under Plasma Energy Solution. And look around because he did some videos on nano coating that might still be up there. Now, there's also videos that he did that we actually sell as a product now of nano coating, which he felt was the most important step, as well as the GANS making. What is GANS? GANS is gas in the atomic nano solid state. Now, not all GANS is going to look alike. Here's a GANS that is CO2 and CuO2. So you can see a hint of turquoise in this. And the GANS is gas in an atomic nano solid state. It looks like a powder, but this has been sitting in the bottom of this jar for some time. Now if I swirl it all up, you'll see it's a very fine looking mist that will eventually settle back in. When we do GANS of herbs and roots and leaves and stuff, we may end up with a GANS that is this color. And this happens to be the GANS of lime relief. So you can see they're very different. Now with the GANS, we add distilled, filtered, or mountain water that is fresh from a mountain stream or fresh from a mountain spring. Now, in my instructions, when I say to use spring water, I do not mean a carton at the grocery store that says spring water on it. That water is likely to be tap water with a nice label. And maybe it's been cleaned up a little bit, but it is not the spring water that I'm referring to. Good quality well water can also be used, but you do have to be mindful that it's a good quality. So people that have told me they are getting water that smells funny, it generally has to do with something going on with their well, because the water we make into our drinking water does not smell. The containers have never had to be cleaned out because of residue that accumulated in them. So those are just some of the hints I want to give you about the water. And do also put a lid on whatever you're doing, because there'll be spores in the air that may find an opportunity to settle into a container that you have. Okay, so after studying plasma energy for several years, Dr. Paul and I began sharing this, and we do have a video available that he did in 2017. It was a 2-hour workshop, and that is the only 2-hour workshop we ever did. So I invite you to look at that, because he's very careful to explain about what plasma energy solution is all about and what he's been doing. And there's also free there's testimonials, free reports, blogs, lots of videos. So there's just a lot of information on our website, plus the frequently asked questions. So please do take advantage of that. So here's what I want to share from you with this video about water. Now, there were several different scientists. Rustum Roy is a professor at the State University of Pennsylvania, and here's what he had to say. What we did and what we always do here is very careful work in the nano field. Let us focus on water, but we look at it from many angles. And then he also says, water in silver containers is one of the best antibiotics that is made. It's as good in Afghanistan as it is in Iraq. The American Army used it to kill germs in wounds. And we had a president who would use it to keep infectious bugs off of his hands. So in our plasma energy station, which is the first thing that Dr. Paul and I ever developed, you do have the memory water, the nano of gold and silver, and over 400 other energies in that. So I invite you to take a look and learn a little bit more about that on the articles and the videos that we have. So what these scientists are saying is that water has a memory. And Rustum Roy says again, the chemical composition of the water is important, but the sensation of news, if that's all it focuses on, he says this is nonsense. The structure of water is much more important than the chemical composition. People don't think when you turn on the light that the water changes. When you turn on the electrical field from the power lines, the water may change. That is the direction of the research that he and others are doing. Martin Chaplin, Professor Laboratory Chief of London University, Great Britain. If you consider a cluster as a group of specific molecules that can survive only a short amount of time, but if you consider a structure whereby molecules of water is what he's talking about, can leave and other molecules can come in, then the cluster can last effectively for a very long time. And in the video they say, the water of course remains water, but its structure, like a nervous system, reacts to any irritation. Modern instruments have made it possible to record the fact that within each of water's memory cells, now this is memory cells of water, there are 440,000 information panels, each of which is responsible for its own interaction with the environment. Konstantin Korotkov, Doctor of Sciences, Professor Academician of the Russian Academy of Natural Sciences in Russia. And this is one of the Russian researchers that Dr. Paul studied when he was learning about the effectiveness of shungite, silver, and magnets in changing harmful torsion fields caused by Wi-Fi, cell phones, microwaves, radiation, 4G, 5G, and more. And Konstantin continues to say, we have carried out many experiments on the effect that quite diverse samples have on water, magnetic fields, electrical fields, various objects, and also including a human presence and human emotions. His laboratory has conducted numerous experiments on the effect of human emotions on water. A group of people were asked to project onto a flask of water in front of them positive emotions like love, tenderness, and concern. Then the flask was replaced with another one, and people were asked to project emotions of a different type: fear, aggression, hatred. After this, measurements were taken on the sample, and the water exhibited changes that were clearly in one direction or another, depending on the emotions that were placed by those in front of the water flasks. And so what the Korotkov has to say is, so love increases water's energy fields and stabilizes water, while aggressive emotions reduce energy and make radical changes in the water. Gosh, what do you think is going on in our country and around the planet right now? That's Lynn's question. Dr. Masaru Emoto, a researcher in Japan, said, I hope to show people through my research that water has a memory of its own. And in this report, I'm going to show you the colored pictures. The top one is of the effect of the water from a microwave. The second picture is the effect on the water from a cell phone. Now you get to the effect of the water when somebody says, thank you. The second picture is, excuse me. And the third picture is, you disgust me. So if you look, the structure of you disgust me is far different than the first two. And Dr. Emoto showed a lot of different things. He wrote books. One was The Messages in Water, and I encourage you to look for those because it's very good information. And you will see these pictures that I'm referring to in the free report that I've provided. Also, I've provided a link to this video that I'm referring to. All right, now a Chinese scientist, Wang Weihua, the main agronomist of the Academy of Agronomical Science in China, has to say, if you look at the shoots, and she's in a greenhouse talking about plants that she's holding up, the treated shoots with the treated water were long, even, and strong, while untreated ones were short, thin, and weak. If we look at the plants today, those from the selected seeds have all ripened, but the one from the non-selected seeds with the short, thin, weak roots have not ripened. We have to say that using water with a structure in it really does affect the growth of vegetables and fruits. And just as a side note here, there's an article on my website about some Poland farmers who took a portion of their cornfield and only used plasma energy water in that section. The rest of the field they planted as they normally did. The day before they were going to harvest, wild pigs came in and destroyed the corn crop. But they did not destroy that one corner that had the plasma energy fields in it. So there's an energy field that the animals must be able to sense, and they stayed away from that part. There's another report I would encourage you to look at. It's a blog on our website from November 2017, I believe. And it was on Hurricane Maria in Dominica. 90% of the island was destroyed, but there was a man who had made some plasma water and taken it to his parents when he had visited them. And it may have been months, it may even have been a couple years before the hurricane. Their property, in a 30-foot radius of a jar he placed in their garden, was completely untouched by the hurricane. That hurricane had 200-mile-an-hour winds in it, and everything outside of the perimeter was absolutely destroyed. So there you have again the memory of the water, along with the memory of whatever gas in the atomic nanosolid state that he had used in what he had placed in his parents' garden. For the purposes of irrigation, 20% of water that has been treated is needed than of regular water. And I will add that I have a deck now where I live, and I was able to have some plants out there, and they didn't get planted until July, which is very late for this part of the country. You want to be harvesting by the end of August before you get cold weather. But I didn't use any fertilizers, and I had very healthy, vigorous plants. So again, I was using a combination of various waters on my plants. And the other thing is, I really did not have any insects other than the occasional bees that came by to the petunias and other flowers that I had out there. But I didn't have any what I would call pests or insects that were destructive to the plants. All right, Aloy Gruber, a researcher from Austria. It used to be common knowledge that a settlement could only occur where there was a natural source of water. Today, whether or not there is water in a place is of no importance because we transport water for thousands of miles using high pressure. And I just want to make a note about this because when Dr. Paul and I lived in the mountains in Colorado that were about 2 hours west of Denver, there was a, what people up here call a creek, I call a river. I'm from New Mexico. Anything that's more than 3 inches wide with water in it year-round is a river. So anyway, the water in that river, we had no rights to use it. Those water rights were owned by the city of Denver. Denver had purchased those rights 40 to 50 years earlier from ranchers in that area, and I'm sure at the time they got what amounted to a lot of money for it. But when you think of the long-term impact of that decision, those properties have no access to the water that is on those properties. They do not have the right to put wells on them. They don't have the right to use any streams or creeks, ponds, or lake water that is on those properties. They've all been sold. So that's part of, and there's a lot of issues of water in the West, especially where there's not the abundance of water that you have in other parts of our country. So now, depending on the age of a human being, we are made of 70 to 90% water. An adult drinks approximately 2.5 liters of water every day in order to sustain the normal life functions. Another 1.5 liters is absorbed through the skin when bathing or showering. Water makes a long and difficult journey before arriving in our homes. And I want you to think about the quality of water. You're drinking maybe 2.5 liters, but when you bathe or shower, you're bringing in another 1.5 liters. So you may be drinking filtered, purified water, plasma water, structured water, but is that what you're bathing and showering in? So that's just food for thought. And he also says, let's see, okay, I'll go on here. Leonid Izakov. Water from a water supply system which blows into our homes through pipes have various forms, crystals of various forms, but they are all deformed. Now, you've seen some crystals I've already shown you in pictures from Dr. Emoto. So those water crystals coming through the pipe may look like this, and he shows two different arrangements of crystals, but they don't look anything like what I showed you with the more positive aspects of the water's pictures from Dr. Emoto. Water that flows in floor panel heating systems is devitalized and rotten. It sucks energy out of the people, animals, and plants living in that house. It actually steals the energy. So water is traveling through, in many cities, maybe in a closed loop. And after undergoing aggressive chemical purification and passing through powerful filters, the water in these systems is returned to our homes, still remembering the chemicals and the violence it was subjected to. Even stronger, however, is the informational pollution that water accumulates as it flows down miles of long pipes through thousands and thousands of houses, apartments, and businesses. And Aloy Gruber again says, we pollute water spiritually, and this happens on a huge scale. Why? The water adopts all of the hatred and all of the malice. The stress in the water is almost dead as it enters our bodies. Okay, I'm going to stop this video here. It went a little longer than I wanted to, so this is going to be part 1, and I will have a part 2 to go through a little more information. I hope you found this to be helpful information, and I do recommend that you look for the free report, which will be available around the 2nd or 3rd of September on plasmaenergysolution.com. And if you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, and please do share it with your family and friends. Have a great rest of your day.